My name is Laura, and I want to tell you about a vision, two visions actually that I had, not not dreams or visions inside my body. These two specifically were outside of my body. Um, the first one was a decade ago, and I really kept that one to myself because it was the first time anything like that had ever happened to me, and I was afraid people would think I'm crazy, not believe it. I don't know, but as you can see, I am very hard of seeing. I have 21,000 vision. Instead of 20/20, it's 21,000. Actually, worse than that now. But so I can't see anything without glasses or contacts, and I didn't have either on. I was just laying there, looking at the wall, seeing nothing, just staring. I was going through some really hard times in my life, and all of a sudden it was like I got sucked through a tunnel of light, just instantly through it, and I could see perfectly, and I had senses that we don't have here. I'll try to make a little more sense of that. But in this one vision, I'll call it for lack of a better word because it was more real than this reality we live in here. Um, but I was given 5 scenes in this one vision. The first scene is the one I don't remember very well, which I'm very glad for but I do remember that it was just like the nightmares that I had as a child. I had a lot of demonic nightmares and stuff as a child, and this was just like one of the recurring ones that I had over and over as a child, and it was a horde of demons on top of me, and they were they were trying to rip me apart, and I was praying and praying and praying, God help me, God save me, God help me. And anytime I would slow a little bit in my praying, they would dig in deeper. And finally I screamed out for Jesus to save me, and he did, and he pulled me out of there and away from the demons. And then I was in the air flying among fighter jets, gray fighter jets. I could see 3 of them to my left, but I knew there were more around me, and I took this to mean war. Um, then the next scene, I was flying over some mountains, and a river, beautiful, beautiful, and I could actually feel the molecules in my body that I shared with the dirt, the grass, water, specific molecules in my body I could feel that I shared with each of these differently. Again, senses we don't have here, and that was one of them. And I didn't hear God say it, but I sensed Him showing me this and saying, "Look what I've given you. Kind of, what are you doing with it?" And I had been doing nothing but destroying myself at that point, up until that point. And the the next scene, I was laying flat on the ground on the dirt. It was from that point of view of as if I were laying on the ground, and there was a lot of sandy dirt with sparse weed and vegetation, just real sparse around. There was a barbed wire fence going straight down all the way to intersect at a mountain. Was a mountains at the end of it there, and on this side of the fence, I could see a feathered headdress, Native American headdress, with feathers pulled out, and they were blowing around on the ground. I took that one because my great great grandfather was the chief of the Yahuskin tribe in Oregon, and he, escaping from a bear, he had gotten caught up in barbed wire fence and died of gangrene from that a week later. And I took this to be associated with that. Um, but other than that, I don't really know what that one was specifically for. And then the last scene, the next scene, the last scene, was from 2 different viewpoints. The first one was looking down, and it was looking down on Christ, he was in the position of the cross, his arms outstretched, looking up, and I was looking from the viewpoint down onto him, and his face was lit so brightly that I couldn't make out any of his features, and the cross was not there, but he was in that position. And then it was from the viewpoint of the floor, again, like I was laying on the floor, and I could just make out that his feet were hanging up above the ground, but again, there was no cross behind him, and I could hear the tinkling of the nails come out of his wrists and feet. It hit the ground, and I remember the tinkling noise as I got sucked back out of the vision into my body, back blinded with normal senses that we have here, limited senses. And I was shocked, astonished, confused. I was scared. I didn't really know how to take that or what to make of it. And so I sat on it for a long time, and I really didn't do much with it. I told my brother, a few people, but really didn't have anything to extrapolate further on it. And then here recently, I'd say 6 months ago or so, was the only other time this has happened to me. I was standing on my front porch with a friend, someone I had just met actually, and just standing there, I got sucked again out of my body, out of myself, and I was in the presence of the Lord. And the first thing that came that I noticed first right away was the enormous power and magnitude of his glory. And I remember being in it, and it was hitting me so hard. I remember thinking that it was going to annihilate my body, that my body wasn't going to be able to survive that. And as I thought that, I looked back at my body still standing there on the porch and thought, no, it won't destroy me because I'm not in my body. But I knew that had I been in my body, that it would have destroyed my body, just from the sheer magnitude of his power. And even there in the spirit, I knew anymore, because I was just getting just a sliver of his power and love, and I knew any more would make it where I couldn't go back to my body. So that right off the bat is more than I can explain further. And then the next immediate thing I noticed was his unconditional love and his unconditional forgiveness. And it was so foreign to what love is here that it's not even in the same category. I remember going, oh, this is what love is. This is love. And it was nothing we have ever felt here or can even feel here. I remember when I got back to my body, when all that was over, trying to recreate that feeling, and it's just not something I can even connect with, because it's just not something our bodies can handle, I guess. But I remember the words were still there to describe it, and that's the only way I can, is that it was so different and pure and unadulterated and undiluted with the sins that are here on the earth, that it was something in its own category, and so different from any kind of love we have ever felt here, even the deepest for our children. So different. And the same with the unconditional forgiveness. It's just so encompassing that there's no blemish to it, and it's not anything we feel here. And that was a great hope and a great relief to know that where I'm going back to. And the next part was, I felt myself in and a part of God in a way that I was not aware of before, just like the first vision, I could feel the shared molecules in my body with the earth, except this was me, my place in God, as though I were a molecule in Him. To say that we are God is the wrong way to look at it. We are in God and a part of God and make up God the same way that our blood cells say make up us. Our blood cells do make us up. It's part of our body, it's part of who we are, but it's not us. That is how we are in God. We are like a blood cell, or we make up parts of God and are in God and a part of God, but not God Himself. It's the best way I can describe that. And again, this is, you know, these things and feel these things in a capacity that we don't have here. And so, and there are parts of it that even I misunderstood at the time and took me a while to work out because it's so foreign to us in our human reality and experience here. I saw a child hurt. And then angelic beings cheered. And I remember pulling back like, what? And realizing at that same exact second, you don't have time to fully get, as your thought is coming out, the answer to that thought is already answered. And it was not the child's pain that they were cheering for. It was all the blessings and wonderful things that God made happen because of that hurt. And it's like God blessed and overwhelmingly gave the world and the child something more because of that hurt, that it makes that hurt, I won't say null and void, but overcome. It makes the pain and hurt overcome by all the good that is and the blessings that are put there because of that specific thing. Is the best way I can describe that. And I'm not even sure that the angelic beings saw the child's pain at all. I think they were just seeing, I saw the child's pain because, like, there's no tears in heaven, there's no sadness in heaven. They weren't seeing the child suffering. I think I was the only one seeing the child suffering because I'm still here. My body was still, my soul was still in my body, even though my spirit was somewhere else. So I saw that part. I don't think they even saw that part. They just saw all the blessings that came from that. And then, let's see, the last part of it was, I saw God, and in an expanse of just nothingness, just the end of time, the end of space, the end of everything. There was nothing left. And and I remember asking or thinking, where's hell? Because if, I thought, well, there should be hell left for, and God kind of looked at me inquisitively, like bewildered, but He was not bewildered. That was for me, and responded with, I would never let any of my beloved creations suffer for eternity. Like that wasn't part of God. He was so much love that wasn't it. I had it wrong. And then I saw the devil. And and the devil God had waited around, and this is the part that because it all made perfect sense at the time. It was when I got back that I started questioning things and going, wait a minute, I don't understand that. But it made perfect sense as it was happening. The devil was there. It was the end of everything. Time was not even anymore. And he had waited till everything for the devil to come to him, and even then God was leading the devil into asking for forgiveness. He telling him, if you ask, I can burn away all your sin, although when that happens, you will be such a changed creature that you won't be even recognizable to yourself. And the devil was like excitedly like, yes, please, happy just to be accepted back with God. And God just chuckled like good naturedly. He was funny. You could just inherently feel his humor. And was and the devil was like, yes, could you please? He's, of course. and and I was pulled back to my body, in which time I went, wait a minute, the devil. Little did I know that shortly after that, I was about to have a very real struggle with demons, who I was thinking were voices from far off, because your head doesn't think I'm talking to demons, or I'm hearing demons. I'm talking to demons. It wasn't until much later on that I realized that I was not hearing people far off. I was not hallucinating it, because I had never hallucinated before either. And so it took me a while until they were trying to get me to kill myself and hurt myself and trying to trick me into doing these things by lying. And we have your family, and or anything, and you have to do this, overdose, and it'll make it better, and we'll give, and I did hurt myself a couple of times, was tricked into it, and until I realized they were demonic entities, and they had even made me believe things about myself, that I had done things that I had never even done. And I had demonized myself to such a point that I thought I was unforgivable, and that I was supposed to be in hell and suffer forever because I was that bad. And I realized that God had given me an olive branch prior to this happening. And it was not the devil, Satan, that he was talking to. It was myself. It was me I was watching. I had demonized myself to the point of Satan in my own eyes that I was deserving of hell for eternity. And it was God giving me an olive branch prior to this, telling me, no, it's this easy for me to forgive you. And it was so easy for him. He was just like, yeah. And that's anchor he gave me to hold on to, and help me get back to him and find him and hold on to the knowledge and be relieved in the fact that, yes, God forgives me, and hell was not made for me. And in that part, I didn't find out until later again. And I went, he wasn't talking about hell for the devil. He was not talking about hell for Satan. He was talking about hell for humans. We were never meant for hell. We are not meant to go there, and that is not a place built for us, made for us. And I struggled with putting this out there, and these are the only two that I was actually taken out of my body in the spirit, and given to talk with God. And I believe that's because of his enormous power is overwhelming. It would destroy the human body here in this dimension, because in the spirit realm where I was another dimension with feelings and extra senses we don't have here, and that was the only place I believe that I was able to be talk, one-on-one with him, and not be destroyed by his power and love. And so that is the first one I wanted to talk about, the two that I was actually taken out of my body for. But there are other visions he gave me in the spirit, in my body, that I would like to talk about later.